Last time I saw him was New Year's Eve. We were partying together in Bel Air, and he was looking forward to a very, very prosperous 2020. He was sitting up there and congratulating me and, talking about all the fellas up here and beyond and talking about how proud he was of everybody. And then he was like, 1+1=1,000,000,000. I said, what are you talking about? He said, that's what we go for. That's what we shoot for. It's not just about money. He wasn't speaking about money. He was just speaking metaphorically like, excuse me, you go for it all. You exhaust every means, every measure imaginable to acquire the aspirations that you have. He was relentless in that regard. That to him was what life was all about, a pursuit of excellence. And to see him gone at age 41 when he had so much more to offer the world, the only word that comes to my mind is devastation.
Devastation. I was devastated the night I logged into Instagram and saw the RIP posts mere hours after the accident. I was devastated the morning after, and I've been devastated every day ever since. It's been a week, and it's only about to dawn on me that, ladies and gentlemen, Kobe Bryant is gone. It's like something out of a movie scene. It doesn't even make sense. It's not the way the Kobe story was supposed to end. You can't help but feel like somebody of his pedigree was not deserving of such an ending. Left to me, he was supposed to live until the age of 90 and maybe die peacefully in his sleep. But this is a piercing reminder that ordinary things happen to extraordinary people. They eat, they sleep, they shit, and they die. Sometimes they die of old age. Other times, the helicopter crashes and burns to ashes. Unlike the average person who knew Kobe merely because of his celebrity status, I was familiar with Kobe inside out. I am a basketball fan. I follow the NBA religiously, so I'm one of the millions who took this really, really personal. Like losing a distant but familiar uncle or cousin, or losing your godfather. Those kind of relationships that are not so close to home, but still very personal. I am no stranger to his story, and I can tell you, just in case you're not familiar, Kobe was special. He was flat out great. He was one of one. Even when he was trying so hard to be Michael Jordan early in his career, it was a challenge only Kobe could dare to undertake. And I would argue that he did Jordan better than Jordan ever did. But that's a story for another day. That's just how good he was. And no, I'm not being a prisoner of the moment. I know what I've seen and what he's done, and yeah, I stand by that. What's really sad about his death, what's really sad about it is that it seemed almost intentionally cruel. Not just for him, but for us. But let me start with him. It was like death was just waiting around the corner to sucker punch Kobe. Just at the most inopportune moment when it would hit the hardest. You see, Kobe gave 20 years of his life to the game he loved. He came into the league at 17, straight from high school, and went on to have went on to give his all to the game of basketball. And when you talk about blood, sweat, and tears, Kobe literally gave it all and more. He left it all on the basketball court. He sacrificed holidays, family time, and relationships to be the best he could possibly be. And he did that shit. He went on to have one of the most illustrious resumes and careers in all of sports, to show for all his troubles. So it just seemed that after retiring at the age of 37, he would be allowed to enjoy life, transition to a more creative lifestyle, set new goals and reclaim lost time with his family. But life was like, hold my beer. It's just unbelievable. The last time I felt this way was in high school when my school lost 60 students in a plane crash with only one survivor. I'm not even sure which one tops the other, but they're both right up there. I take solace in that what we lost in the fire, we will find in the ashes. By that I mean I've chosen to believe that their sacrifice will trigger some amazing ripple effects long after the pain of this loss has faded to the background. I've come to see Kobe's death as a blessing in disguise because I just have this feeling that the Mamba mentality is about to inspire a lot of people worldwide to be the best version of themselves and do the fucking most. And I'm pleased because this is exactly what this podcast was designed to be. To be a place where I share examples and conversations of what it feels like, looks like to put your best foot forward every fucking day. And you see, I was chatting with a couple of friends, and each of them are already inspired to carry on. One of them said to me, whenever I feel like quitting or procrastinating, I ask myself, what would Kobe do? There are people worldwide who have taken this loss so much to heart that they will commit to carrying on his legacy one way or the other. From that day, moving on. Mark my words. Months and years from now, some people are going to accomplish some very amazing things and they're going to credit Kobe's death as the catalyst. I can just feel it. Me included. Sometimes we need a wake-up call, and this is exactly what the world needs. We were getting comfortable, losing sight of what was truly important. We needed a sacrifice so perfectly scripted, so heart-wrenching, so painful that it would inspire change and move like-minded individuals like you and I to action. And I believe that if you're listening to this podcast right now, you are one of those people. Whether you knew Kobe or not, if you're listening to this right now, you're one of those who could potentially be moved to just take on that Mamba mentality. So if you're not someone who's familiar with Kobe, I suggest you go and get a crash course, go on YouTube. Like right now, there's... You know what, I'm just compelled to take on a moment of silence. Just 1 minute. If you would join me, just whatever you're doing right now, if you're multitasking, if you're whatever it is, just put your phone down, just join me and have this moment of silence for Kobe. Here we go. So, for me, Kobe's death is not a reminder that life is short. It's not a reminder to live every day to the fullest. And it's not a reminder to call my loved ones or none of that shit. No. In fact, I've always been aware and lived like today could be the day. That's never been my problem, so I don't need Kobe for that. And quite frankly, if you're 25 and above, and you still need to be reminded of the futility of life, the appreciation of the little yet most important things, you're not ready. You're a cliche, I'm sorry to say. We should already know by now. 99% of social media posts are always reminding us to seize the day because life is short. So you don't need Kobe's death to remind you to reach out to your loved ones and to mend relationships. Like that's people die every day. So you should be inspired every day. We've seen enough movies and endured enough loss to know. So that's basic to me. That's bare minimum stuff. Kobe said in the clip at the beginning of the episode that 1 + 1 = 1 billion. Let that sink in for a moment. 1 + 1 = 1 billion. He believed in being exceptional in all aspects of life. You know, you can't reach perfection, but you can try. That's what life is all about, trying. And Kobe tried, man. That nigga tried every single day until the day that he died. He believed that you could have it all. Kobe was a god, man. Like, he's just the kind of guy. He's just the kind of guy that this show describes.
All of the cliches that you want from your son or daughter or you want from an athlete, he lived those. He didn't party. He didn't drink. He was the first one in. He worked the hardest. He was the most disciplined. And he just so happened to be the most talented and hardworking. I think if there's a silhouette of Michael Jordan, the shadow has to be Kobe Bryant.
What I found myself marveling at was this man's brilliance. He was trilingual at the very least, Italian, Spanish, and English. Learned Mandarin, learning German, and this dude's intellect was off the charts. And then he had obviously that tireless work ethic, and he was always after it, and he demanded he demanded you fight off complacency.
He's just the sort of individual that I romanticize about in my monologues. And his death is a reminder for me to double down and level up, yo. Some people want to be successful career-wise and while putting their love life or family life to the side, you know, letting them suffer. But I say, fuck that. Life is too short to compartmentalize. You never know when it all ends. So why not try to fill it with every mistake and miracle you can manage? Whatever interests you have, whatever passions drive you, whatever is important to you, try your best to nurture it, because you can't have it all, you can't do it all. It just requires you to try a little bit harder. And that's the thing that we don't like to do. We don't like to try. Like, you know, who says I mean, the basic thing is to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, focus on my career for now, and once I get that in order, I'm gonna focus on having a relationship and everything, or, you know, vice versa. But the fact is that you can never ever have anything truly right. Like, you can never ever be ready. You just gotta commit to learning from your mistakes and doing the most with what you can. You get, like, the same way you can fail career-wise and still be committed to trying again, it's the same way you can fail at love, at relationships, and still be committed to trying again. Same way your professional life doesn't wait for you. You can't say, oh, I'm going to put my professional life on hold so I can focus on love. It's the same way, you know, I feel it's kind of shit to do it the other way, because they're both important. You know, in fact, I would say that your love life, your relationships are more important than any career goals you will ever achieve. And Kobe's living proof of that, because
1 + 1 = 1 billion.
Everything is important. Everything is happening now, and you don't want to sacrifice one for the other. And when you put in that work to kill them both, great things happen, man. You're paying it forward. Like, you're making the future brighter. You know, because, man, I just feel like it's been the story of my life. But from now on, I'm going to be more intentional than ever. That's how I honor Kobe. Oh, and by the way, I've been seeing how everyone's been honoring Kobe's work ethic, which was legendary. But you have to understand, Kobe was not a normal human being. He was a Martian, man. He was a god. As he was different. we're mere mortals compared to him, because he was driven by something many people will never understand: pure competition and a desire to be better than everyone else. That's the Mamba mentality, first of all. That's where it begins. He had no choice but to be relentless in his pursuit of greatness. So if you're not someone who's familiar with Kobe, I suggest, you go and get a crash course, go on YouTube. Like right now, there's so many documentaries that have gone up that just give you a peek into the kind of player and person that Kobe was, and it's a sight to behold. Like when I was watching some of those things recently, it reminded me just how much I even forgot about how great Kobe was. So many things were happening in the moment, and you just kind of like lose track of it. But when you go back now, and there's perspective and there's posterity now, so you get to see and experience Kobe in a whole new light. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy was actually like, you knew he was great, but his greatness, like, now it makes so much more sense. And I know it's easy to think, oh yeah, just because of his death, things are gonna be blown out of proportion. But no, it's the same thing with Jesus Christ. When he was alive, he just seemed like just another guy, starting shit and just being different. But then in his death, things were put into perspective. Now you're able to appreciate and realize and understand what Jesus was trying to teach all that time. And here we are 2,000 years later, and we're still talking about Jesus. So I don't think it's too much to believe that Kobe was the shit after his death. If Kobe had any flaws, is that he expected everyone to be better than who they were, and expected himself to be better than everyone else. And this created a lot of conflict and misunderstanding between Kobe and his teammates early in his career, but he was highly successful in the process. So, I mean, you gotta weigh all of that. Years later, people eventually saw Kobe the way he saw himself, and accepted his mentality as the goal, man, as something to aspire to. So it all worked out. So for me, while I admire his relentless pursuit of personal perfection, I'm not going to suddenly emulate that at the age of 29. It doesn't work that way. Kobe's been doing this since he was fucking 9 years old. His father was a baller as well, who taught him the value of hard work. It's been in his DNA. So I'm too set in my ways, and so are you, to suddenly become so obsessed with perfection. But I can honor Kobe another way. And that is, whatever it is I choose to do with my life, I must commit and give it my all. In work, in love, and in life, and everything in between. I will always hold myself to a higher standard and try to reach that every day. It's something that we can all work towards. It's realistic and it's relatable. A few days before his death, I listened to Kobe's last interview on a podcast called All the Smoke. So coincidental and yet so serendipitous that I was able to listen to Kobe before he died. It just made everything feel like it was meant to be. But anyway, the episode dropped about a week before his death. And listening to it, I realized that his life was only just beginning, which is another reason why his death hurt so much. We all couldn't wait to see how the Mamba mentality would translate to business and his new passion of storytelling. So in that interview, he dropped some gems that I think y'all should hear, and I think y'all would love. Like, it really puts Kobe's personality into perspective, especially for those of you who are not familiar with him. I think you're gonna enjoy this. I selected some of the good ones for your listening pleasure, a few snippets here and there. So here he comes, the Black Mamba himself.
So let's get into it, man. What is the difference between Kobe Bryant post-career and the Mamba, the killer we saw on the court?
Well, I think it's just, a lot of the mentality is still the same. The industry just changes, right? So the same focus, same attention to detail. It's even more so now because, when you play, you got to take time off. You got to let your body heal. You got to do certain things. In business and in creativity, there is no off switch.
Day by day.
Because your brain's constantly working, right? So, the similarities are there. It's the focus, attention to detail, and you try to surround yourself with people that are just as maniacal as you are about their craft. And then the differences are I don't have to put my body through hell every day.
You didn't win an Oscar and the Emmy. Tell me what did that feel like to be able to say, to win an Oscar? Of course you wanted to be with 6 rings with Mike.
Yeah.
But you have something that he probably never get. You know what I mean?
One of these.
You know what I'm saying? Can't get one of these. So tell me about that.
It's different because in competition, it's a direct competitive thing. You know who your competitors are. You know who you
We got that bad.
face. Like, you know that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a direct competition. When it comes to the arts, it's not that. You just try to create the best thing you possibly can and then see how, in this case, the Academy responds to it. So it's very different. Like sitting there at Oscar night, like there's nothing you can do. Like there's no need to be nervous. There's no need to, because things are what they are. It's out of your hands. You did the best job that you could possibly do. And then you go from there. But the biggest lesson learned from it is you work with brilliant people that see the world the same way and magical things happen. And that's true across industries.
Some of the things I've seen post-career that I love are obviously, you coaching your daughter and then your new fascination with writing novels. Can you go into detail with those?
Yeah, well, coaching the kids is fun. It just kind of came out of nowhere because my daughter just decided she wanted to play about 2.5 years ago. And so started coaching her a little bit, and then she made a local all-star team. And that's where we met the rest of the girls that are now on the team. The kids can't keep reading stories that have no relation to them whatsoever. And I don't mean just from diversity, like a color standpoint, not only just that, but from the fact that they're athletes and there's no story that kind of speaks to athletes. It's all like, there's princesses and sleep and Prince wakes you up with the kiss and all that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to read my daughters that,
Right.
We enjoy that stuff, but it's not, it's not reality of it. You're not going to sleep and then wake up years later and be successful.
Right.
The
process
you got to
there.
work. You
Right,
got to
yeah.
work. So I wanted to create stories that I could read to them, for
Right.
athletes that go through that type of stuff.
Right.
I love that Kobe is writing books for kids that want to be athletes. Do you know what that can do for a young mind? Learning the keys to success in a realistic yet fictional manner, in a way they can easily digest. Man, Kobe was ahead of his time, man. That's brilliant. Fairy tales are nice and all, but they messed a lot of us up, especially girls. Had them applying fairy tale values in a pragmatic world. That's how, that's how we all get disappointed and let down and heartbroken, man. I think I happened to read one of them actually via an ebook, and it is really, really good, man. Like even I was like, man, these kids are lucky, man, to have this kind of information growing up, man. They'll definitely internalize that mentality long before they know, they hit puberty. So I mean,
What was it like for you coming into this business space overall with all your success you've had in sports? I kind of feel like that next step in life, people either they praise you for what you did and eager to work with you, or they're like, oh, this motherfucker thinks because he won 5 titles that he can do whatever he wants.
It's a little bit of both, right? So I can get any meeting, but then it's the follow-up. Right, or I used to get things all the time where it's, come in for the meeting for this company that you want to build, these ideas that you want to build. That's all cool. And then you sit down and they're trying to pitch you on being on the show, being in front of the camera. I'm like, I'm not about that. Right. So it kind of, it goes both ways. And so what we've had to do is just build it ourselves. Because we just got sick and tired of it. Trying to go out and partner with people that, act like they believe in the vision, but when the push comes to shove, they really don't. They just want me and my 20 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to put that to bed and build something for the next 20 years. And the best way to do that is to do that ourselves.
Right.
We can all relate to that. That situation where you have all these ideas, but they take you for idiot. I heard once that when they underrate you, they get out of the way. But when they overrate you, they get in your way. So just knowing that even Kobe, as great as he was, went through those motions is refreshing, you know? And the answer is simple. If they don't give you a seat at the table, you build your own. You build your own table. Mamba mentality right there.
Was there ever anything as a player that you remember that was said about you or written about you that really kind of stung and hurt throughout your career?
You know what's funny? All of it does. You know, a lot of stuff said about me or selfishness type of stuff. It's like, bro, you can't win 5 rings being selfish. Right. Doesn't happen. But I get that's kind of become the mantra. It's kind of become the slang, the vernacular, or the running joke. Or he doesn't pass and all this other crap. Man, that's okay, you know, but I'll take those 5 rings.
Now that's how you deal with slander.
What's the most misunderstood thing about you?
Well, I think it's that, man. I think it's the selfishness or, arrogant. Well, maybe not the arrogance.
You have to be though. You have to be. You have to be.
Maybe not that.
You have to be though.
I mean, when I'm playing, it's a different side of it. I think it's the perception of the way I am on the court is the way I am off the court. It's 2 completely different things, man. 2 completely different things. I mean, I can be an absolute teddy bear at home with my family, with my kids, and enjoying that family time. And I'm really psychotic about having that family time and making sure we're doing what we have to do as a family. I'm doing school drop-offs and pickups and, giving my babies a shower and doing all this stuff. Like, I'm making sure I'm there for them as much as possible. Right. And so, but on the basketball court, it's a completely different animal. And I think the biggest thing is, I see people saying, well, I don't like him.
You don't know. And what?
Okay.
Right.
I mean, who are you?
Right.
Like that sort of stuff. But it's all good. It comes with the territory.
There's this thing Kobe always says, different animal, same beast. And it applies here because he's basically saying when he's with his family, he's a different animal than when he's on the court. But he's the same beast in that the same, dedication and intention applies always. And I love that. I love that, man. Just might be cuddly at home, but he's being intentionally cuddly, being intentionally, present with his family. And then when he's on the court, he's out there to rip your throat out. And I love that about him. And then the arrogance, man. Like, see the way he owned that shit?
What was a low moment in your career? I don't really see you having none.
There was a couple of them. Well, losing to the Celtics in 08 was tough. But before that, like at the beginning of the journey, was not playing. So coming in as a rookie and saying, man, if I knew shit was going to be like this, I would have went to school.
Interesting.
Right? Because I felt like my coach, Dale Harris at the time, was trying to make sure he did not show favoritism to the young kid. And as a result, he swung completely the opposite direction and doing things that weren't really fair. And I mean, not playing. So like my first 2-3 years were
brutal.
Were a nightmare.
See, people don't know that. People don't know that. People don't know you went through that your first 3 years.
No, it was tough. I mean, I sit around, I watch all my peers going out there playing 35, 37 minutes. AI, Ray Allen, they're all doing their thing. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, everybody's doing their thing. And I'm sitting here glued to the bench, getting really, really pissed off and ticked off, thinking I should have just gone to college. I mean, that was the hardest part. That's like you sitting down, you not playing, and you're watching everybody else kill the league when you know you should be doing that. It still pisses me off to this day because, like, ultimately, what numbers would you have put up?
All right.
Because everybody wants to go to that. Oh, let's go to career numbers. Let's go to career. I wish somebody would have told me that back
That's
then.
3,500, 4,000 more points.
You know what I'm saying? So, those 3 years of not playing and sitting on the bench and just watching, it's frustrating.
Have you ever sat down and had like a real off-the-camera convo with MJ?
Oh, yeah.
What is that like?
Looking in the mirror?
No, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. No, we're really different. It's crazy. Like he'll compete
to you
with anything.
To you, y'all different.
I mean, I guess. I mean, like he'll compete with any and everything. I won't. I only compete with things that I really am good at.
If you're really listening, what Kobe is trying to say is that his approach to competitiveness is more focused, while Michael's is all over the place. And I think that's what gives Kobe the edge. There's just so much more you can do when you focus your energies on something as opposed to spreading it thinly across multiple things. And even though Michael has more rings than Kobe, I think Kobe's overall game is more lethal, man. He has so many ways to rip your throat out.
How bad? I remember playing with you. Your whole thing is that you said, I want to sit at the table with MJ.
Yeah.
Meaning you wanted that 6th ring. What did it mean not to be able to get that?
Oh, it pissed me off, you know. But things are what they are. You know, you push for a goal, and my original goal was to try to win 8.
8.
And you push for it, and you push for it, and you push for it, and you do the best you can. But then at the end of the day, you can be comfortable with the results and where they landed and where they ended up. And so, you know, that's the most important thing. That's why I can be really, really comfortable with the career that I've had, because, you know, I worked as hard as you possibly could. And that's it.
That's why they say, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land on the stars. And that's exactly what Kobe did. You know, going for 8 rings meant that one way or another, he was going to come as close to Jordan as he did. I mean, as he possibly could. Because if he had gone for, 6 rings, he would have maybe had 3. You get? And that's really key in preparation, man. You got to set really, really high goals so that even if you miss, you still achieve something that is still exceptional. It's not perfect, but it's exceptional. That's that Mamba mentality all over again.
You got a lot of young players that's reaching out to you now.
Yeah.
You know, your advice to them, like what you tell them, like how does that feel?
Depends what they ask. I mean, like a lot of them will come and ask about their game and things that they should do and things like that. And I say, listen, you know the answer to that. I don't know. Like, you know what makes you uncomfortable when you play. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for kids nowadays is that they want to rely on coaches too much and workout guys. You know, which is fine to have them help you work out, but you have to tell them what you need. Right? You have to be able to say, okay, I feel uncomfortable with this. And if you don't know, then you're not as prepared as you should be, right? You need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are first. And then, you know, I can tell you some of the things, some of the rhythmic things, or some of the exercises, or how much repetition you need to be doing on certain things. But you got to know your game.
A lot of people are always looking for someone to tell them who they are. And most of the time, when people give you advice, they're telling you from their point of view. You know, they have their own agenda, which may or may not be a bad thing, but nothing beats having first-hand knowledge of who you are and what you need. Man, remember who the fuck you are. Nothing beats having that confidence and trust in yourself to figure out your shit. In the game of life, just as in basketball, if you don't know who you are, first and foremost, you ain't ready.
So before Gigi got into basketball, I hardly watched it. But now that she's into basketball, we watch. It's on every night.
She wants to watch it too.
It's on every night.
I love it.
It's on every night, and I mean every game. I mean, she asked me to get the league pass on her phone and everything.
Oh,
She watches
I love it.
everything. So, you know, we'll watch. She likes watching Trae Young a lot. She watches Luka a lot. She watches James. She watches Russ. I mean, she watches Bryant. She watches.
Who you would watch? She watches
who I would watch,
Right.
I guess. I mean,
Right.
and there's so many young, talented players out there. It's amazing. And when I took it to the Laker game, that's the first Laker game I've been to, I think, since my jersey retirement.
Really?
And we just had so much fun because for the first time I was seeing the game through her eyes. It wasn't me sitting there, you know, as an athlete or a player or something like that, and then, you know, it's like about me, and I don't like that. It was her. Like, she was having such a good time, and the players were coming up and saying hi to her, and you know, and Brian was talking about her fadeaway and all. You know, it was exciting, and she had such a great time. And as a father, I mean,
That's all you want. That's all you can ask for.
Yes. But no, it's good, man. We just try to raise our girls to be strong, independent women. You know what I'm saying? Hold themselves to really high standards, self-respect, things of that nature. And you just trust that you've raised them the right way.
Man. I keep saying it. This father-daughter relationship was about to be the stuff of legend, man. I feel like Kobe was about to be a better father than he was a basketballer. They were going to kill it. They were... they were so special together. You know, he set an example of the kind of relationship you want to have with your kids, especially if it's a girl, you know? And just seeing that, I want that between my daughter and I when she gets here. You know, someone else who has killed it and publicly in terms of being a good father to his daughters is Steph Curry, who is personally my favorite player ever. But yeah, I mean, it's a relationship that's so special. And this is the most cruel part of the whole tragedy, man. This is what I keep going back to that every time I think about it. You know, like what God would look at them, look at their relationship, look at their future, and still decide to cut their lives short. This is the root of my grief, to be honest. While we can never make sense of the finality and the suddenness of Kobe's death, we can make damn sure the Kobe spirit lives on in all that we do. That's how we honor him. And I'm the kind of guy who's very wary of who I idolize or stan. But Kobe is right in line with the highest of values. Like, if you could pick anybody to stan, alive or dead, I don't think Kobe is bad, man. You could do better than Kobe. I mean, you can do worse than Kobe, I mean. That's what I mean, yeah. He's right up there with Da Vinci, with Michael Jackson, you know, and Jesus Christ, dare I say, you know, just in terms of being examples of people to emulate. Personally, that's how I will honor him. I will commit to my goals, my dreams, more than I ever have, you know, especially, and it's so timely because right now I've taken on the biggest challenge of my life in, you know, starting a podcast network, a podcasting agency, and, you know, many times I feel like, who sent me, man? Like, it's so hard, it's difficult, it's a fucking challenge. But I think, like I said, this death is gonna pay itself forward many years to come. People are gonna do things, and they're gonna look back at this moment and be like, Kobe made me do it, man. Kobe taught me, man. Kobe inspired me. So I'm gonna put my all into being better every day. And whenever I'm low on motivation, I'll ask myself, what would Kobe do?
Here he goes. He will now address the fans here at Staples Center one last time.
Man. Guys, you know, it's, I can't believe how fast 20 years went by. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And, you know, to be standing here at center court with you guys, my teammates behind me, and appreciating all this, you know, the journey that we've been on. You know, we've been through our ups and been through our downs. And, I think the most important part is that we all stayed together throughout. You know, I grew up a diehard Laker fan. Diehard. I mean, I knew everything about every player that's ever played here. So to be drafted and then traded to this organization and to spend 20 years here, I mean, you can't write something better than this. And I'm more proud of the fact that not about the championships, but about the down years, because we didn't run. We didn't run. We played through all that stuff, and we got our championships, and we did it the right way. And all I can do here is just thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the years of support. Thank you guys for all the motivation. Thank you for all the inspiration. And, you know, what's funny, the thing that had me cracking up all night long was the fact that I go through 20 years of everybody screaming to pass the ball. And on the last night, they're like, don't pass it. This has been absolutely beautiful, you guys. I can't believe it's come to an end. You guys will always be in my heart. And I sincerely appreciate it. No words can describe how I feel about you guys. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. God, I love you guys. And I love you guys. And my family, my wife Vanessa, our daughters Natalia and Gianna, you know, thank you guys for all your sacrifice. You know, for all the hours I spent in the gym working and training. And Vanessa, you holding down the family the way that you have. I can't, there's no way that I can thank you enough for that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And what can I say? Mamba out.